Okay, good to see everybody on this Wednesday because it's Wednesday right now. What? Because it's Monday night and I'm filming this. They're not going to see it till Wednesday, and it feels I have trouble lying to people. I want to, they should know. Like, I'm trying to tell them it's Wednesday, but it's coming off like Wednesday. What do you mean that's how they do it in Hollywood? Does this look like Hollywood to you? Do you see Tom Cruise walking around here? Steve Wonder here from GetRubix.com. I do get asked a lot about third-party app packaging or packages or different tools. In the past, we've looked at Chocolatey. Um, we looked at Winget a little bit. Today, we're going to look at a third-party tool called Robopack that I've been wanting to try for a while and finally got a chance to. So I'm going to take you through it, show you what it can do, how it works with Intune, and who knows, maybe it's something that'll, maybe you'll think it's cool. If we were making a movie, I would not be doing my own stunts. I mean, you're lucky I sit here and do this without CGI.
Get Rubix, solving for the modern workplace.
Okay, folks, so today we are going to take a look at Robopack, which apparently is the future of Intune packaging. This is a tool that is built for Intune, supposed to work pretty seamlessly with it, and I'll show you, but it's got all your app packaging and patching needs, and it's pretty crazy. So before we go any further, I want to talk about how I came to look at this. Not being paid by Robopack to do this or anything like that, right? So this is essentially a tool I've seen. I know Andrew Taylor's talked about it. I've seen some articles. I've gotten plenty of questions about how it works with Intune, what my thoughts are on it. And over the weekend, the folks at Robopack reached out to me and said, hey, we want to know if you'd be interested in taking a look at it and giving your feedback on it, see if you think it's cool or, if it could be helpful. So it worked out because I really did want to try it. So they hooked me up with a trial. You can get a free trial of it. You go on robopack.com. I don't know costs associated with anything. I'm sure there is a cost when you have an organization and you're using this thing at scale. So you can find all that on there. I'm just always interested in really cool ways to go about third-party app deployment, app packaging, app patching with Intune. And this is one that just kept coming up. So it worked out. I will say the folks at Robopack said, look, try it and be brutally honest. And I was definitely impressed. So I'm going to take you through it. And we're going to look at this and see if it's something you could use. Okay. So Robopack is a web app, app.robopack.com, and you just sign in once you have your account set up. It's a pretty nice interface. One thing in the main area here is manage Intune tenants. So I want to talk about this first, right? Because before this will do anything, you have to set it up with Intune. This was super simple. What I really appreciate are there are two options here. You can connect to the tenant as a user. That'll use your delegated access, so it'll basically sign in as you. And that'll work for, I believe, packaging and uploading the apps to Intune and assigning, but there are some features in here that require the full connect tenant, and that's an application permission. So just to show you what that means, this is the equivalent in Entra when you look at application permissions. So if we were to look at app registrations, I'm just going to pick one of mine here. When you look at permissions and you go to add a permission, notice there's two different ways: delegated permissions and application permission. So that's precisely what these translate to. So you have both options. And then of course, to take full advantage of it, you have to set it up with the application permission so it can run as a service principal. I did set it up in here, and I want to see if it is somewhere I can see it. Yep, down here. So it's sitting here now. Just by signing in from the portal, it creates an app registration. It has permissions. Obviously, to do it, it has to for the tenant. And it just has enough permissions, right? you're basically able to, it needs to have some group management for assignment, device management configuration, being able to read that. That goes along to the assignment. And of course, you have your apps read write all because it's writing apps. So connecting this is super simple. You hit connect tenant and you're prompted to sign in. I will actually connect this lab tenant because I didn't do that yet. And see, you're getting the permissions requested. You just accept. If you have the appropriate role, like a global admin or another role that has permission to add service principals. And then within about 5-10 seconds, this will just be sitting here. Yeah, there it is. That was the one we did with for the Autopilot V2. Okay, so that's it. Setting up. I mean, if you can click a button and sign in, you're good to go. Okay, so now that we're connected, I'm going to go back to the main screen here, and there's 3 things you can essentially do. So convert package is basically an automated way to make an Intune win. To make things really simple, I have all my app folders in here with all the source files. So Adobe Reader, for example, I can literally just take the whole folder and throw it in there, and it automatically figures out what's inside there. So you can see it sees the files, that there's 6 in there. It sees there's an MSI package. And then from there, I can create an Intune Win, an MSIX, or AppV, but it's kind of older there. I'm going to do an Intune Win because we're using Intune. Automatically, it gives me some options. So it doesn't just find the install command, it gives you install options based on what you see. So this is with the transforms. If I just wanted the quiet switch, I could do that, or I could just do setup exe. So it's actually detecting multiple different ways I can run the installer. So I'm going to do it with the transforms. Why not? Actually, I don't know what's in the transforms. I'm just going to do the QN switch. I'm comfortable with that. It has my uninstall command. Only one option there. Machine context, 3264-bit. Detection rules. Okay. You can set it to check the version if you want to. I'm going to allow any version. You can add additional rules. And then your advanced options are just going to be miscellaneous things you want to add to the package. And that's it. So instead of having to create the Intune Win and then update it, I'm going to hit quick import to Intune. And you can choose from the different tenants. So I know it's already in Rubik's Dev, but it's not in that new demo tenant. So I'm going to hit create package, and I'm going to watch the progress in real time. So this is doing several things, right? It's taking my folders, it's packaging them up into the Intune Win. It's creating essentially the payload for Intune. So as if you were to, instead of going into Intune, clicking select app Win32, it's doing all that for us, right? Okay, and if your upload speed is better than mine, you'll be in a lot better shape. So now it's processing. It seems to finish the upload, and I have Adobe Reader all done. And I'm just waiting for the response back from Intune. Now you see I have a few other apps here. While we're waiting for that, I'll show you. It'll tell me if something is complete, if it's been uploaded to Intune. So let's look at Greenshot, for example. So we're seeing a lot of detail here, right? So I could see it was uploaded to Intune. In this case, I used a script to deploy it. So this will natively create PS app deploy toolkit script, which is cool because you can add a lot of customization there. We will get into PS app deploy toolkit in the future. I just didn't get around to it yet. We can see our Intune settings down here. So this is all the information that was deployed to Intune, and we can see the detection rule. And you can see what tenant it was uploaded. And if you want to know, if you want to look at it, you just hit open in Intune. And when I sign in, it's going to take me right to that package. And here it is. This is what it looked like when it was uploaded to Intune. So I have the logo here, install, uninstall, everything we got just from looking at this, right? What I thought was really interesting were some of these actions. So we just did show an Intune. import to Intune. So import to Intune would be helpful when I haven't yet, because you could just create a package and leave it here and maybe not deploy it to Intune yet. What's really important too, though, is this is a repository. So I can download my source files from this if I wanted to. So here, I'm going to download the source files. And in this case, it was just the executable. But now I have it, right? Because that's oftentimes like kind of a big problem when you have an Intune win and you say, oh, what did I package? And I see the commands, but I want to test it on something. And we don't have it anymore because we don't save it. So that's really important. I can download the full Intune win, right? I can also see the PS app deploy toolkit script that was used. So you have access to all this data here. Okay, this next feature really got me because it's called app documentation, and I looked at it and I'm thinking, what document of the? I don't need app documentation. I could see everything in Intune or right in here. Install command, uninstall the version. Once I clicked on this, this is kind of where I was like, okay, you got to be kidding me here. When you click on app documentation, you're seeing a lot here. So one thing right off the bat here is these are all the possible install command and uninstall command switches. Okay, and it'll tell you which process it's closing. In this case, it's a simple app. If I were to uninstall, it would just close Greenshot. I'm seeing the installed size and the total file size. And then they break it down a little bit more after here, but I want to show you this. Look at this. This is every file that's being used for the deployment. And there's a lot. There's 102 in this case. Okay? And the difference is some files are cleaned up and some are left behind after install. So if I only want to show the files that were left, it's these three things were left on my device. Now, why would I care about this? Well, sometimes if you're running like an EDR solution or a SIM and you're seeing some kind of activity and you want to know if a file is associated with an app, I can do that. So if I'm thinking, well, hold on a second, what is this, language, and you're looking for a file and you can pinpoint, it's like, okay, this was used during the Greenshot installation, but it's been cleaned up since, so it hasn't been left behind. Same thing with the registry, right? You can expand all this and see all the different places this thing has affected the registry. So you can see I'm left with a string here in the root. I'm left with the default icon, okay? In my HK local machine, I have software for it got created. There's a binary here. If we continue to scroll down, you can see some information about it. I mean, when you talk about like security and auditing and, some organizations need to be able to pull this information, this is really nice. So I was very impressed with this. I believe it's a newer feature, or they're working more on it, but that really got me. So that's that. So this is where we've gone from automatic packaging and uploading to Intune to an app catalog, a real app catalog, like a lot of apps. So I'll show you here. I mean, there's over 30,000 applications. Let's look for, I don't know, let's do Eclipse, because that's an IDE I was looking at today. So a lot of packages around Eclipse, show all results. There's a lot here. Why don't we look for the, let's see here. Why don't we look for GitHub? Okay, so with GitHub, I have the GitHub desktop. That's one I like. I want to make that available possibly. Actually, let me do that right now. All right, so here's the thing. So I'm looking at this app, right? I could do a few things. I can import it into my apps, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But I'm not going to put it in Intune yet. Actually, I am going to put it in Intune. And I'm going to put it in my Rubik's Dev tenant. And I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to create the deployment assignments. So let's see here. This will create the following groups for the package. This is really big. This goes beyond just creating an assignment to existing groups. And you can do this if you want, but I want to show you something. I have 3 groups here. available, required, and uninstall. It's going to create these for me in my tenant. So we're going to let it do that. We're going to create a deployment. I'm going to create a new deployment. And you can actually not just do assignments, you can create deployment waves, just like Windows Update for Business rings. So I'm going to add my first wave, and I'm going to call this Pilot. And I'm going to assign it to, you can pick your groups. We'll add that group. So Robopack, GitHub Desktop available. That's my pilot group. Okay, it's available to that group. That makes sense. And I'm going to leave the other settings the same. Okay, and by hitting start deployment, that'll start the test and however I have the assignment. So it's going to make this app available to that group, right? And we're gonna see what happens. All right, so now we'll log on to a client machine. And this is Bruce Wayne's. He should be in here. So we're going to head over to the company portal. Okay, so we're in here now, and it looks like I see GitHub Desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and install that. So you see, the nice thing too is the end user experience is no different than what your users are used to with like company portal. So there's not like there's a learning curve. In fact, end users, I mean, shouldn't know anything. This is to make your life as an admin easier, and so that you can make apps accessible for end users. I'll show you a few other features that I think are cool. I won't go into them too much, but I kind of just want to touch on them and what they do, because I mean, this is way more full featured than I originally thought it was, just reading articles, seeing some videos. So let me show you. All right, so one of my favorite things, and I can't wait to test this, is the MECM import tool. So SCCM, right? And if we take a look at it, essentially, it's a tool that you connect to your SCCM instance. You have the right credentials, you sign in, and it will grab all your packages from a specific site server and allow you to basically import them through to your Robopack hub, so that you can, deploy those with Intune. So I think that's incredible, because this is a request I get all the time, and it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So this is going to be good. I can't wait to try that. When I click on the settings here, just like any app, there's a bunch of different things here. But one thing I thought was really interesting was notifications. So, how do you want to be notified of things? So if a package is ready, if a package is imported to Intune, a comment made, or if there's just a new version available. So how about new version and packages created? I can add an action to post to a Teams channel. You can use a Teams webhook URL, and they give you the instructions here of how to do all that. It's a little in depth if you've never done it before. Not too big of a deal. Probably get to that in another video. But yeah, you can add that, and then basically when these events happen, you can get notified right in your tenant. So through Teams, because yeah, you can get an email. I think that's fine, but I'll be honest with you, we're trying to get away from email. So a big thing with me and recommending third party is it's tough because, there's cost on top of the product you have, which is Intune. But a lot of folks use Intune for their device management, but maybe they have more robust app needs. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because this is very robust, and it satisfies my condition for a third-party product with Intune, which is where it doesn't touch the PC. It just publishes to Intune. As far as the relationship between the device and Intune is concerned, nothing changes. So that's what I really like about that. And even when you're making the groups and assigning the groups, it's just making graph calls to set all these things up in Intune. So that kind of hits my criteria for this. The nice thing here is it's taking care of three primary needs that we have to do as Intune admins. It's the packaging, so all your in-house apps, everything you had from SCCM, all your directories. It does the packaging for us, right? It susses out the install, the uninstall, the detection rules. So speeds up all that manual package work and puts it in Intune for us. 2, it is a third-party app catalog, with over 30,000 apps. So, from really obscure things to IDEs, things developers need, to, obviously popular releases of apps you use every day, Chrome, Firefox, Adobe products, things like that. You can just grab them and keep track of the versions and, publish them to Intune, which brings us to number 3, the patching. So you can set these automated, deployment waves, and I just showed you a little bit of that, but you can, probably spend some time in here and really orchestrate something powerful to where you're notified when a new version of an app's available. You could put that in a deployment wave and just, go from there. So kind of 3 big things we've seen, and I've seen different products handle different pieces of this, but I'll be honest, this is pretty incredible to me. So I'm excited. I might do a follow-up once I've spent more time with it and I could show you what some of the data looks like coming back in, especially once the data from the waves populates a little better. But yeah, it's a cool tool. So, you go to, I'll put the link below. You can do the free trial. Play with it, connect it to your tenant. It might solve a big problem for you. And that's all I got. We'll be seeing you.